The barren surface of Planet X-13 stretched endlessly, a wasteland of jagged rocks and swirling toxic winds under an ashen sky. It was a place catalogued by the Galactic Union as uninhabitable, a planet so hostile that even the hardiest of life forms would perish within minutes. The alien survey team, a group of advanced beings known as the Threxians, had not come expecting surprises. They had been here only to confirm their classification, an act of routine more than necessity. Kallax, the team leader, hovered over a console mounted on his exosuit, his multifaceted eyes reflecting streams of data. Atmosphere. Unbreathable. Surface temperature. Extreme fluctuations. Radiation levels. Lethal, he muttered. Nothing unusual. Yet, as the group pressed forward over the uneven terrain, their sensors caught an anomaly. The second in command, Vrek, paused, her tendrils twitching in agitation. "Sir," she called out, her voice edged with disbelief, "I'm detecting impressions on the ground." The group gathered around the site. What they found was utterly impossible, a trail of footprints, perfectly shaped and undeniably humanoid. Each step was distinct, pressed deeply into the soft patches of ashen dust that coated the ground. Kallax bent closer, his suit's scanning array whirring as it analyzed the marks. "These are recent," he stated, his voice betraying a rare note of astonishment. "The atmospheric conditions would have eroded them within days, yet they remain intact. This is no natural phenomenon." Silence enveloped the team. The Threxians, a species priding themselves on their vast knowledge of the universe, were utterly perplexed. Humanity was known to them, an emerging race of clever but primitive beings. But to find evidence of humans here, on a planet so thoroughly hostile, was unthinkable. They could not have survived here, Vrek said firmly, though the uncertainty in her tone betrayed her. Their physiology would fail within minutes. "This cannot be their doing." "And yet," Kallax replied, gesturing to the trail, "the evidence is before us. We must follow it." As they advanced, the trail wound through a landscape of cracked rock formations and shifting sand dunes, eventually leading to an unexpected structure on the horizon. The team halted, staring at what could only be described as a makeshift shelter. It stood defiant amidst the wasteland, constructed from unfamiliar materials. Part of it bore the appearance of scorched metal, while other sections looked patched together from salvaged debris. The shelter was crude but functional, a clear testament to intent and intelligence. Kallax activated his translator and read aloud the faint symbols etched on a piece of metal by the doorway. "Hope endures." Vrek took a step back. "If humans left these," she whispered, her voice now filled with awe, "then we must ask, how and why?" Kallax gazed at the footprints leading away from the shelter. In his mind, questions swirled. The footprints were more than just impressions in the dust. They were a message. The trail of footprints led further into the desolation, weaving through jagged cliffs and stretches of barren ground. The Threxians moved cautiously, their sensors scanning for any remaining traces of human activity. As they followed the path, the footprints became more erratic, as if the human had struggled in their final journey. Eventually, they reached a small plateau, where the trail stopped abruptly. In the center, they found another marker, a metal stake driven into the ground, with a small device attached to it. Kallax examined it carefully, activating a holographic projection. Another recording of Sarah Lane appeared, her image flickering against the harsh winds. "If you've made it this far, you're persistent." "I like that," her voice began, now hoarse and tired, but filled with resolve. "By now, you've seen what I managed to build. It wasn't much, but it kept me alive longer than I thought possible. I scavenged everything I could, learned from the environment, and adapted. It's what we humans do. It's what we've always done." The projection shifted, showing crude sketches and notes she had made, diagrams of the shelter, instructions on how she had used the planet's resources, and even calculations for creating breathable air from the toxic atmosphere. The aliens studied the data with a mixture of awe and disbelief. "She turned this planet into her laboratory," Vrek said quietly. "She didn't just endure. She innovated." The recording continued. I've always believed that survival is about more than just staying alive. It's about leaving something behind, proving that you existed, even in the smallest way. That's what these footprints are. They're proof that I was here. Proof that I didn't let this place win. Sarah's voice faltered, and there was a long pause before she spoke again. I don't know how much longer I have. My body is giving out, and there's nowhere left to go. But I'm not afraid. I did everything I could, and I know that matters. The projection ended, leaving the Threxians standing in silence. The barren plateau around them seemed less empty now, as if Sarah's presence lingered in every grain of dust. Kallax broke the silence. This human did not just survive. She lived with purpose. Every action she took was a statement of defiance against the impossible. Vrex stepped closer to the edge of the plateau, where the ground dropped off into a vast, shadowed canyon. But where did she go? There are no more footprints. Kallax followed her gaze. The footprints ended abruptly at the cliff's edge, as if Sarah had simply vanished. Perhaps this was her final act, he said. A choice to face the unknown rather than succumb to this place. Even in death, she remained true to herself. They stood there for a moment longer, gazing into the abyss. Sarah Lane had disappeared, but her legacy remained etched into the very fabric of the planet. She had left her mark, and that mark would endure.